odd jobs. Working in a produce department in a grocery store. Okay. I have done this twice. Actually, I was working another job and was hired to be trained to take over the position of a gentleman that wanted to retire after like 40 years of being in the business and being iconic. Yeah. And I was very, very lucky and privileged to be taught by him personally. Uh, and it was funny because he had me work for a week with the crew that he had. And then when he rolled in the door and said, "Now it's my turn to teach you my way. Thank you for the thumbs up after you've seen these clowns in here because they're not doing it right." And I was like, whoa. This man believed in me. He gave me an interview by phone on a Sunday, which was his day off. Told me to meet him at the store on Monday morning. I came in. It was about 7 minute interview, to the point. He hired me on the spot, offered me higher than pay than minimum wage, and I'd never done it before. It's a job. It's a job. You got to do what you got to do. And I like learning new things. So, it's all right. Anyway, I studied with him and I learned so much. And he's quite precise. And since then, I have talked to other store managers and owners that went, "You were trained by Mike? Let me tell you about Mike. Mike's numbers are so horrendous in the produce areas that he has worked. You were trained by Mike?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." So he's like my gold card to the industry. If I, ever want to do that again, I can. And I know it like the back of my hand. This man, in very short order taught me everything he knows. And I listened very, very carefully and followed his directions all the way through. Um, so today, I was sent to work a produce department in a grocery store. And I didn't even tell him I'd worked produce before. And, being a girl walking into a produce department is kind of odd. It's a dude job, you know. Um, and a lot of it's because there's a lot of weight involved. I don't know if you've ever lifted a case of potatoes or bananas or any stuff like that. This stuff is really heavy. But I got full service today, and this guy loads this cart up about halfway. I said, "No, load it all the way." I said, "I'll be here till 7." "Oh, okay." So, I said, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" And the guy showed me around, kind of told me, and I just jumped right in there. Bam, bam, bam. So then he brought another cart out that he filled to the top. And he said, "Okay." And he worked with me. Uh, and I'm fast. And I said, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" "Okay, this is what I want you to do. And this is where these things go." Bum, bum, bum. I did it. Then I went back in to take my boxes. And in these grocery stores, they recycle. And so, you got to separate the boxes from the plastics. You save all the plastic because that gets recycled too. So I knew how to do that. All you got to do is look around. And so then these other two guys were there, and I said, "Okay, what do I do next?" "Oh, well, he went on lunch." So that's like, he's going to be gone like an hour or something, right? And I said, okay, well, what would you like me to do? He said, well, you can either take off and wait till he comes back, or if you want to work, I mean, it's up to you. I said, no, it's okay. Just tell me what you'd like me to do. So the next thing is, it's the bananas. And oh my gosh, this place does cases of bananas, right? And, when I worked the other store, I used to roll those bananas all day long between my different jobs I was doing. I always kept it full to the T and nice and neat. And I knew how to stack them real good. And it just looks so pretty. The stuff just all fits in like little puzzle pieces. It's really fun. Hey, Roxanne, what's up? Good to see you. So, uh, this guy comes back from lunch, and I've already loaded probably 23 cases of bananas on this section, and I got still some room left. You think so? It's fun. I like it. They're so pretty when they come out of the box, and they look so pretty when you stack them up all nice and neat, and it just looks so good. When you finally get it like all filled up, this thing was like almost empty, so it was really fun, and it's like a giant pyramid. It is so cool. So, and it's a really clean store. Much better than that mess I was working for before. I was the only one that cleaned. Um, but yeah. So anyway, this guy comes back from his lunch and he comes out there and he's like, "Wow, you're a good worker." He said, "You follow instructions, and I'm sorry I wasn't here to teach you how to set this, display up." I said, "It's okay. I just kind of guessed." And he's like, "You're very smart." And so it was really funny. I had two guys there that were like fighting over me. They're like, "So you're coming back tomorrow, right?" And I'm like, "I don't know. They just management sent me over here." And uh, they're like, "Well, we can't wait to see you tomorrow." And I went, it's like, "Oh my gosh, here we go." And so uh, um, it's really neat. I mean, I just really had a blast, and we just banged a whole bunch of stock out like nothing. But it kind of ran out of time. That was the unfortunate part. It was shameful because these guys will work through the evening. So I only get the hours that I have because I get what I want at this place, oddly enough. And it's outside, completely outside of their rules of the house. They just give me whatever I want. It's pretty cool. And I get paid really well. Plus, I got a $2 per hour raise in about a week. Yeah, man. Yes. So, I just keep smiling. I feel like I'm Mike Rowe or doing dirty jobs. I'm just getting floated. It's really funny. But yeah, I didn't tell them anything that I had any experience in produce at all. And they were super impressed. It was a riot, and they just couldn't wait to be able to have me back. And I can't promise them I'll be there tomorrow because I don't know what tomorrow brings. Right now, there's some problems in my normal department, and they're kind of like bypassing it and just like, I'm bored working on a computer as a side gig. Um, but that also gives me raises. But the thing is that, I can be helping in departments where they're short. So, I mean, I'm getting paid by the hour. What do I care? Either way, like I told them in upper management, I said, man, I'm getting paid by the hour. I say, if I can help where these departments are short right now, just float me over there. And they're like laughing at me, going, yeah, sure. Like, you would do produce. I said, hey, I could do whatever. Show me how to do it. 5 minutes, I got it done. I said, but I worked in produce training as a manager. before I came here. So, I said, so I can handle that. I said, trust me. I said I can handle probably any department in this building. So anyway, they thought that was hilarious, but they'll hear about it tomorrow about how they're begging for me to come back. It's ripping my guts out because I've made some great friends in other departments, and it's like, here today, gone tomorrow kind of thing. Still straightening out some situations with the main department that I worked, that I was actually hired for it, which is not something I love. It's just a job, and I do it, and I do it very, very well. So, had a great time today. What you do in produce? Make sure you're wearing some good tennis shoes, some arch supports. Make sure that you can handle bending over a lot. That your arms work good. You know, pumping iron helps a lot. One of the guys said, "Man, you stand like you're a weightlifter." You know, uh, and I said, "Well, I guess because I have flat shoes on." I said, "But I did pump iron for a great many years, and I've been slacking off like the last 6 months." And he laughed and he said, "Well, I don't know." And I said, "Well, I hope I'm good enough for the job." But yeah, so anyway, what they do is you go to a back storeroom, and some stuff's in the cold room, some stuff is not. Okay, and like your lettuces and stuff like that, your grapes, things like that, they have to be in a cooler. It's really cold, buddy. And other stuff like your potatoes, your onions, and all these things, they don't have to be refrigerated. So, um, depending on where the stock's coming from, you generally have to load it yourself. At this particular market, the workers will load your rack for you if you're a girl. It's like a courtesy thing. It's pretty cool because that's what'll get you the worst. The good thing is the racks are way better here than at that other store. Man, you can only load so much on those short rolling carts, and it's really heavy to push. Okay, like some of them, if you take what they call a U-boat, which is a low riding uh, flat dolly that's like 6 foot or more long, and like a foot wide, and then has big tall rail on it on one side and a big tall rail on the other side. You can just kind of grab the poles and push the thing. You can't push it if it's overloaded. I can't. I can't. And so, I mean, versus running dry stock on a U-boat, dry stock's not half as hard as running produce. But again, with dry stock, you really don't want to stock it over human height. It's dangerous and it's just entirely too heavy. Um, uh, but produce is another ball game. The stuff is really heavy. If it's anything other than a case of bananas, it's really, really heavy. Um, and I'm thinking a case of bananas is 50, 60 pounds. I'm guessing. Um, they're pretty heavy. And this, the way it's set up at this store, it's put in, mostly everything's put in plastic crates that fold up. It's amazing. They will fold completely flat. You unlock the sides, those fold down, then the other sides will fold down right on top of it. It's a flat thing. It is really cool because the breaking down of boxes or little crates like this, you've got to do it as you're working it because you really don't have much place to put the stuff. So you got to be able to kind of stack it in, you know, your cart or your U-boat as you're working so that customers don't trip over it and you're not making messes and it collapses in. So You can get to other boxes. You might have to move another box around to get to another box, because you don't need that right now, because you're right in the area of, that product. So it saves you steps. Um, but you got to be fast. It's sort of like juggling, or sort of like being, what they call a box boy. They used to have people that stood at the check stand, usually a guy, or a young man or something, or a student, and as the checker checked the groceries through on the belt, and she pushed it back into this large space that's like 3 by 3, whatever, and then the bag boy would bag the items up and then load them in the grocery cart and then walk the customer out and load them into their car. That was a real big thing in the old day. I guess they stopped doing that to save on payroll. Um, and then today there's stores that you bring your own bags and you're supposed to have a big savings. Well, I think that's retarded, but anyway. Um, you're just cutting out too much of that, old country kind of feeling, kind of the, uh, when you come in the store, people greet you, and the friendly produce person and the friendly meat cutting person, and the friendly checker and all that kind of stuff. They've cut so much of that out. And there's a lot of elderly people that it's a big thing for them to go out of the house. It's a real big thing for them to go to the grocery store, and they're going to be there a long time because they just come out to see people and visit. That's a big thing of their day. So all those personal little cues, made it nice for people to shop, and they would return. You know, those older folks that are retired and have that little bit of a check, that's regular money. As long as they stay alive, they're going to come back like clockwork every day on Tuesday at 8 a.m. or whatever, and that's guaranteed money. You want that money, that guaranteed money. And, so it's really important that little touch, of kindness, that smile, or hey, I appreciate you today. I really appreciate you making my paycheck today. Thank you so much for your business. That people remember this, and they're going to come back to your business more than they will go down the street. Even if they move, they will drive miles to come see you because the way you treat them. So a lot of those personal things, kind of faded away in a lot of these grocery businesses. Even in retail stores, you know, same thing, different day. Um, you know, I would drive across states to have a good mechanic work on my car because I like them. You know, I'd sweat bullets before I would go to somebody different than go to somebody that I've done business with. It's one of those southern things, I guess. You do business with me, I do business with you, kind of thing. But yeah, produce is very interesting. Um, the biggest thing in produce that I was taught was rotation. It's an absolute must. The reason for it, a lot of people will bypass it. Workers will bypass it. They don't care. They figure, well, it'll get bought. Well, I mean, it depends. I guess if you're in a big box, or like maybe like Walmart or something like that. Well, yeah, they have millions of customers a day and they make huge, gigantic money, but not all stores are that successful. You see, is produce your permanent department? No. It was in my previous job, which I still have got to do a vlog on that. Um, but um, so I quit that job to come here. Um, but and I got paid huge money. But the thing is that anybody could do produce. I don't care if you're 88 years old or you're a high school kid. Anybody can do produce, girl or guy. It's not limited. Um, I will tell you that the people that I have talked to in pros, I've like personally interviewed several people in the produce industry in different markets, many different brand names, and it's very interesting. A lot of what they say. Um, one of the one of the most important interviews that I did with a guy was um, the big stores like Walmart and stuff like that versus the smaller grocery stores. Okay, that was an impressive conversation. He will swear by big box all day long. He said, I did so many years since I was a kid working for all that little stuff. He said, the biggest thing I ever did was go to something big. And I was like, wow. He said the insurance was better and all the benefits were better by far, and they treated you way better and valued you. Raises were more common. It was pretty interesting conversation. Um, and this guy was probably in his 60s, I would say. Um, but, like I say, anybody could do it. If you look on the internet, there's not like anything about teaching you about how to do produce. Okay. And that's sad. That's really sad. Um, and I've wanted to for the longest to do some vlogs on the live showing how to do produce. I would have loved to do it at the other store. From backroom techniques to the main floor and all that kind of thing. Um, Usually, when the stuff's shipped in, it comes in off tractor trailer and it's shipped in early morning hours to the grocery store. And they will take and they put it on a pallet. They stack stuff so high, so high. It's a big block of stuff. Whether it's, loose carrots in bags or it's cases of bananas or cases of vegetables, whatever, these big cardboard heavy duty boxes. And the top comes off the box. And so you have to pull the top off. And you've probably seen these boxes. And the top fits onto the bottom. And you don't have to rip the box apart or anything like that. It's just the top fits onto the bottom. And you pull the top off, and it exposes all the product. And a lot of it's wrapped in plastic because it sheds and stuff. But they stack this stuff up real high in a big giant cube. Okay. It could be, 6, 7 foot tall. And then it's the exact size of a wood pallet. Okay. The wood thing, that you set on the ground that they pick up with a forklift. And then they take and they wrap tons of plastic like saran wrap all around this block. Okay. All around this block to like seal it up to keep it from moving. And it can be moved with a forklift off the tractor trailer and onto the loading dock and then carried through a warehouse and set down. The next big trick is unwrapping that thing. And you have to be kind of careful. If the people that, you know, loaded that pallet originally from wherever it came from, like the other store I was working at, man, that was scary because when you start cutting that plastic off, that stuff was going to fall on you. Okay. It was really, really bad. This particular store is 100% improvement. They must be ordering from the better quality folks. I don't know, but they're stacked beautifully, and so it's not gonna like fall down on you when you cut that plastic off. It's done really well, and so now all these boxes have to be sorted into the cold room and the warm room, and they have to be dated because it's new stock coming in. It must have a date on it of when it arrived. So, whether it be by a marker or printed out, sticker, it's got to be dated. That way, when it's sitting in the warehouse or the cooler and a worker comes to pull a case of something they need to fill a shelf uh, or display, that they take the one, okay, that is oldest first. All right, it's rotation. You want to take the oldest of the product first out on that floor. You don't want to use what just came in off a truck. You got to take the oldest product first. So, and sometimes you run completely out of product. Say you're all out of avocados. You're waiting on the truck to come in. It's still got to be dated. Even if you're going to empty 3 cases of it out, just date them all, and stack them up in a warehouse. Those are going to, go out on the floor. And so that's just a thing that you do to keep track of, making sure that, the oldest product goes out first so it doesn't sit there and rot. So that's the first process, is the organization of, the dating of the product and using the oldest product first. Um, on the main floor, rotation is making sure that the brand new product you have brought on that cart is down first. So you got a big thing of tomatoes out there, okay, on the main floor. You got to pull up all those tomatoes and the cases you brought with you. You're going to have to load it in there first, but you got to make sure to clean all the trash out, okay? Make sure that, no tomatoes were busted on the bottom and leaking all over that bin or wherever it's going. And you got to clean all that out. And you have to do it properly. You can't use a bunch of chemicals and stuff because it'll be absorbed in that food and people are going to eat that food. And at the last store I worked at, they were like, well, it don't make no difference. They're going to rinse it off anyway. Well, guess what? I'm a boondocker. If I want to go in and buy a tomato at a store, I hope to God that sucker's clean, because I want to eat it like an apple. Sprinkle a little salt on there and eat it like an apple. Dear God, don't tell me I shouldn't be trusting a store because they don't make sure the stuff's clean. Oh, no way, dude. I should be able to trust that store. I mean, if you go in and want to buy a peach, are you going to run to the bathroom and rinse it off first? Probably not. The peach is looking good. So I bought that peach. I want to eat it right now, So, yeah. So, the most important thing is to make sure that bin is cleaned. I mean, with the weight of other tomatoes on top of tomatoes, they can be busted. Customers throw the stuff back down. Kids get in there and screwball around. Their parents don't discipline them. So you've got to pull all that out first. Make sure that bin is clear. No trash in it. No leaking stuff. No bad tomatoes, whatever. And then you've got to turn around and set all that new stock in. The old stock goes on top. And you don't throw it around like baseballs. You're careful. You're careful with bananas. You're careful with potatoes. I've seen a guy at the old store that I was working at throw the onions like they were baseballs. All right? Throwing them from the cart. And guess what they look like tomorrow? They're rotting. White onions. You can see right through, all that shell there. That is rotting. And I couldn't figure out why all these onions are rotting. Are they buying junk and it's getting shipped in like that? That they're going bad in one day? No, it's because I watched my coworker slam them in there like baseballs. Okay? The people do that to produce. Oh, yeah. So, I agree. So, here is my worker destroying our product that we're trying to sell before the customers even got to it. And it's going to rot to death because it's bruised. Onion is bruised. All of them are bruised because he's manhandling the stuff. You can't manhandle it. So you have to be careful. You can't just toss it in there, pour it on there by the case, any of that kind of mess. You do it hand to hand, just like you're the bag boy at the check stand, hand to hand. You pick up with one hand, it goes to the other hand to hand. It's like a rhythm, okay? And you can, once you get that rhythm, if you ever saw a real good bag boy, it's like boom, 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 boom. They don't have to look. They can be looking around the whole store and be going boom, 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 because they got that rhythm going. Same thing with produce. You got that rhythm going, but you're careful. You're careful. You're not manhandling stuff or hurting it. So, whether it's apples, onions, I don't care what it is, oranges, don't manhandle it. So, you get a rhythm going. And you got to work fast because you want to make it look pretty so you can get to the next thing. And you got customers coming all the time, walking around you, walking behind you. You got customers all around. You got to watch the floor, make sure nothing hits the floor anybody's going to trip on and get hurt. You got to make sure you don't have boxes all over the place that customers, are going to get hurt and fall over or run into. You got to watch everything. You got to watch the way your cart is parked there. You want to make sure that a grocery cart can get through, and that your U-boat or cart is not blocking that customer, because that's the one that's making your paycheck. Okay, got to make sure you're doing it right. So if you get right in between the display and the cart and snug it up to you to where you can go hand to hand really carefully right there, boom boom, then you can get that stuff loaded. You're not in the customer's way. You can do it quickly and carefully, and you can get to the next thing. And it looks so pretty. It just looks so pretty when all the stuff's all nice and neat and everything. And you can do it without even looking. You can be looking around in the ceiling, watching people walk by, whatever, because your hands are doing that work. Your brain is thinking, your hands are doing that work, and you go fast. And the more you do it, the faster you get. I can do it really fast. And yeah, making it look all nice is the attraction of it all. Your main attraction of a grocery store is your produce department and your deli. Okay, and whether they have a hot deli or they're slicing meat, those are your two main attractions of a store. If those don't look good, the rest of the store is crap. Okay, so those are key departments. Those are really huge money making departments if they're run right. You would never believe the thousands of dollars in sales in those two particular departments. So they are the star of the show. The star of the show is your produce department, the fruit and vegetable joint, and your deli, slicing meat and or running hot food, okay, that's ready to eat. Those are your two main stars of the store. Okay, bakery is another thing. A lot of them don't cook in them anymore. Some do, and bakery just doesn't do that much. So much of it is shipped in anymore, where they don't actually make real birthday cakes and actually decorate the birthday cakes. And a lot of that stuff has changed. A lot of it is now computerized. A lot of it is now edibles they lay on top. They can program it right into a computer. It prints it out on a sugar edible piece of paper, and it is like, punched out and laid on a cake. I swear. It's amazing. I learned that yesterday on a course that I took on a computer. Pretty darn interesting. But your stars of your store are produce and deli. And those are your key attractions. Sort of like going to Disneyland, man. Everybody's going to run to go to the Matterhorn. And the next place they're going to go is It's a Small World. So those are your key attractions for a grocery store. They do make huge money if they're run right, in many, many of thousands of dollars a month. Okay. So you want to make sure those two areas are tip top. Okay, recently a store, I don't want to name any names, but a store out in, how can I say this? Out by the base. Okay, out by the base, not on the base, but out by the base. A customer called and reported a store because they claimed there was flies and bugs flying around sections of produce. Oh boy. I went in and one day and they had all the produce down. And I'm like, man, did all their coolers die at once? Really? And then I found out from an employee, they said, a customer called in and said that there was bugs. Well, let me tell you what happens. If food is not rotated and the bins aren't cleaned out, the food will rot. Black mold gets up in there in bunkers and cold coolers, and nobody wipes it down, and the black mold continues to grow. Do you really want to eat that food? I couldn't believe all the black mold in the other store I was working in. And the girl I worked with was like, see that crap? And nobody cleans it but you. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, you have to keep stuff clean, take out old food, clean the bins. And, yeah. And it's Board of Health. You know, Board of Health comes in there, the party's over. You know what I mean? They can shut you down for the day. They can shut you down permanently if they feel like it. Okay. It's not just a guy with a clipboard making check marks. I mean, it can be very serious biz. And so it's really important. And Board of Health, you deal with that in a lot of businesses, from bar and restaurant business, you know, to food trucks, to grocery stores. It's kind of all over the place. Okay. Even to a gymnasium. So anyway, that's a key factor, and a lot of people think to just throw that crap on top and it's going to get sold. It's not the way it is. If you've got one tomato rotting in the bottom of 500 tomatoes, guess what's going to happen? It leaks down that bin. Now it's touching the other tomatoes. It will smell. It is gooey. If a customer touches that, they're going to back off and go, ew. If one tomato is leaking because it's been broken or it's old or whatever, it's going to seep all around that bin. Other tomatoes will touch it. Customers will touch that. They will get turned off. They want nothing to do with it. And then guess what? These little bugs come. They're like flying little gnats. And when a customer walks up, if they have really good eyesight, they will notice those gnats. They're flying around over the food. And then when they pick up something, a bunch of them fly out. Okay? Um, uh, Really important. It's just like behind a bar. If they don't clean and pull the bottles out and clean the wells and all that stuff, um, you get, like these bar gnats from the sugars and everything else. You know, it's got to be clean. So same thing in produce. And so one rotting tomato or one split open tomato that's on the bottom of 400 other tomatoes, is a lot of weight. It's going to create a gigantic problem. And then if you keep piling stuff on top of that, it just continues. The bugs get worse. It's nasty. Then you start getting mold, the white mold and the black mold, all kinds of things. Whether it's a refrigerated compartment or it's not refrigerated, it is so problematic. And that's what starts the problem. And if you got everybody coming in there is lazy and not going to rotate it because they don't feel like it, they just want to load it up on top, it's not the way it goes. You're rotting a lot of food. And uh, it's really gross when you're the one that's emptying it out and you're the only one that'll rotate and you have to, deal with all that. You have got to empty it all out. You've got to run in the back. Now you got to start getting towels and you got to get spray and you got to run back and forth and get that all clean and then dry it all out and then you got to lay product down, and it's ruined the whole display because you got all this stuff in boxes to the side, and the fresh stuff and the old stuff, and it's just like customers are walking up, and all they want is a tomato. You know what I mean? And it's just a nightmare mess. It needs to be loaded right back up. So if you do not rotate, you create a gigantic problem with only one tomato or one apple that is rotting in the bottom. It's super important. Okay. If you have onion skins will fall off. People will peel them off and say, I'm not paying for all that onion skin on there that I'm not going to eat. I'll just peel all it off and lay it there. Okay. Don't think there's trash cans all over a produce department because I've not seen any yet in my lifetime. So you know darn well. I've seen customers take corn. You know, they like to sell this corn with all the husk on it. But who wants to buy a corn without husk on it? That's beyond me to begin with. Now, I don't know, maybe it keeps it fresher. I don't know. But everybody going to open that sucker, look in the hole. And what do you see? The end of a corn. I don't know. I'm not a big farmer type person. I don't know poop about that. But then the next ones will come up and they'll take, 12 pieces of corn and pull all that trash off and lay it on top of the other corn, or, throw it in the floor or throw it on top of some other products and then walk away. And it's like, really? You know, especially if it's being by the pound instead of by the ear. They will rip that stuff off in a heartbeat if it's by the pound and throw it everywhere and make the biggest mess you ever saw. A big, hairy mess. Because people will do it. People are disrespectful, they will do it. Um, so do rotate the stock. It's vitally important. Here was a store that got shut down and was given orders by Board of Health to empty every single bin out, every cooler, and stop that entire department from revenue. Because one person called and said, I saw bugs. Bugs can come from watermelons. If they're sitting too long and they're all stacked up on each other and they're really heavy in a big giant box, it's the size of a sandbox for a kid, okay, and they're not being rotated out, they're still just throwing them on top. Well, you got some that are splitting and draining in the bottom, some that have bad spots in them because they're overripe, because it hasn't been rotated. And yes, the fruit flies and all that other crap's going to come. And there's swarm. I've walked into stores with 50 watermelons sitting there in a big giant box. Okay, it's like the size of my car. And there's flies all swarming all over, and it's like, oh, gross, man. Or it smells like red wine. You ever notice that when watermelon is leaking, seeping, or overripe, that it kind of smells like red wine? That if a potato busts in a bag, it smells like fish, like rotting fish. I'm not kidding you. If a potato busts in a bag, it will smell like rotting fish. Um, these things attract bugs. And the customer sees that, they don't want to shop in your store because they're thinking it's dirty. One rotten potato can do that. And that can be from being damaged, from being handled, from being thrown in a warehouse and loaded up, and then being transported by a tractor trailer, and then rotten potatoes are nasty, yeah. And then if it's dropped on the loading dock, or something being brought into the grocery store retailer that it's going to. If workers are throwing this stuff around like baseballs when they're loading it in, if they're not rotating the stock out, these things happen. So it's got to be really, really clean, okay? Because it spreads like disease to the other fruits and vegetables in the bin, or even being stacked up in a warehouse. If you've got one case with a busted tomato and you've got 10 cases stacked up on a pallet, that one tomato is going to keep dripping all the way down to the bottom, like a 12-story building. It's going to keep dripping and seeping and all that. And it will make the other stuff rot. and it makes it nasty dirty. All that stuff has to be washed. You can't put that out on the floor. Customer's not going to want to touch tomato juice on a pretty round shiny tomato. They're going to go, ooh, gross. So really important. Rotation is absolutely mandatory. If you want to go in there and you want to, be a stalker in produce, if you are too lazy to rotate that stock because they told you to, and you just want to throw that stuff out and look like you're a great worker, don't do it. Please don't do it. You're destroying the department. You're hurting the revenue of that department, and you're making a store look like crap. You are lazy. Wrong job for you. Go and do some stocking like non-expiration dry goods in shelves because you don't belong in produce. It's vitally, vitally, vitally important. I know because I've had to clean up messes behind workers that just toss that crap on top when I worked at another store. They didn't give a damn. And it just, I'm just not going to put it back together nasty. I'm just not. I'm going to pull it all out and inspect to make sure there's not like onion, skins in piles that will be rotting, or broken tomatoes and apples and all that other stuff. Bad bananas. That's a real good one. They want to just keep slamming that crap around and keep weighting it down and stack too many, and then it's rotting. It comes out like syrup, like pancake syrup, and it googs up everything below it, and that brings bugs and ants and all kinds of stuff. So do it clean, do it nice, handle the stuff like it's your grandma's groceries. Don't destroy it, and stack it pretty. I really love to see a beautifully stacked produce department. It's really impressive to the point of where you're scared to take a tomato because it looks so good the way they got it all stacked up really nicely. Um, the store I worked previous, they hated that. The one lady hated that. She's like, "That is such a waste of time." And I said, I do it fast. It's not hurting anybody, and it looks good. I go hand to hand, hand to hand, hand to hand. I can do it just as fast as you. Except she wanted to pour this stuff on. You know what it's like if you ever watch somebody take a case of tomatoes and pour it on top of a bunch of other tomatoes that's beating them to death. It is a ton of weight. Even to lift that box, it is a ton of weight. So imagine that weight on top of those other tomatoes that are already out there. I mean, that's like stomping grapes, man. That's like your car driving over a bunch of tomatoes. It's too much weight. Okay? Rotate, rotate, rotate. Rule one, keep it clean. Get the trash out because it'll rot too. All those parts of corn cob ears, onion skins, the dust and the dirt from potatoes. You would be amazed all the dust and the dirt that comes off of potatoes and stuff. And then your import vegetables, your Latino vegetables and things like that, your Jamaican vegetables. There's a lot of stuff comes off of those. I mean, there's stuff that I've stocked that I go, do people really eat this? And it feels like dirt. There's stuff that's packed in sawdust when they ship it to you. It's a giant box of sawdust with all these little bits in it. And it's done that way to keep it from being bruised. So that when it gets to the grocery store, to the retailer, that it's not all beat to hell. So they will pack it in a ton of sawdust. And that's a messy mess to go through. But it's just their procedure, the way they do it. So rotate is absolute number one. Make sure the stuff is clean. Those bins or whatever you're setting it into, whether it be crates or bins or baskets or whatever you're doing, make sure it is clean. Because that means if it's clean and it has clean liners or whatever you're using, that the stuff you're laying on top of it that's fresh will stay clean and won't rot. Okay? And then the stuff on top of that goes on top of that brand new stuff will not rod. So that's rule one. Make it pretty. It looks really good. Make it pretty if you can. If the store you're working doesn't make it pretty, you make it pretty. Because they will thank you a million times over because, it's all in that look. All those pretty colors and the way it's set up, it's all in that look. It attracts customers. It just looks great and it improves the revenue of that department. You get more and more sales. You ever go in a nasty store that's just nasty? It's just nasty. Where you have to kind of like really walk around to find anything. And then you go in another store where it's like a rainbow of heaven, where it's like you look over and you see all these nicely stacked bell peppers. And the bell peppers come in like three different colors. It's the prettiest thing. And then the next row was a lot of green things. And it was absolutely hideous in a place I lived. And it only took about one time for me to go in that nasty store. And it just nasty. It just reeked nasty dirty. It was nasty. And then you go on one down the street and it's all pretty and the produce person's proud, the butcher's proud. I mean, everybody's just proud. And I mean, it's just so impressive. You just want to buy everything in the store. It's like artwork. And it's like you almost don't even have to put it in a plastic bag. Those little funky plastic bags. I don't know why they never improved that. But those plastic bags, they bite. You have to play to get them off the thing. You have to play to get them open, you know. And then you gotta try to get your stuff in there, and then that dumb bag breaks, you know. And I hate those little bags. But yeah. So that's the biggest thing. You gotta work very fast. You gotta work very, very fast. And wearing an apron is a plus. I do hope the store you go to has aprons because all these fruits and vegetables can stain, especially the imported stuff. Some of that stuff's purple, like eggplants, things like that. They have bright, rich color. And if you happen to pick up one or drop one or whatever, or lean against one, you know, or you're cleaning out a bin, it's got a bunch of purple juice in it, it's not going to come out of your clothes. So wear an apron. That's a plus. You have an option of wearing gloves or not. I don't wear gloves when I stock. The only time I would wear gloves is if I'm packing cactus, okay, and putting in packages to put it on display. I wrap it twice with plastic so the customer doesn't get poked. Most of the time they only do it once, but I do it twice so the customer doesn't get poked. Um, and it's so much easier handled. And cactus is a big seller. It's kind of like bananas, real big seller. And you know, uh, you know, making it look good, so it's eye appealing. The colorization, the bins are clean, and the hand to hand action that's really important. Comfortable shoes, apron. You can go gloves or no gloves. I don't use gloves to do produce, only when I'm doing the cactus thing. It's mandatory. I promise you, I don't care how careful you are to pick that stuff up. I have packaged a lot of cactus at the other store, and I'm going to tell you, it would take days to get that stuff out of your hands. Those needles are terrible. Um, uh, I've done it with picking it up with pliers, picking it up with gloves, um, double gloves, rubber gloves underneath, garden gloves. Tried it all. Um, yeah. Um, but those are the key things about produce. So, I mean, it's nothing. If you watch, you will learn. First day I stepped in produce department, there was nobody there to teach me nothing or nothing. I'm standing around. Yeah, cactus is a big thing now. Cactus is a big thing. Um, uh, but that's how I learned. I just watched everybody around me, everything they were doing, and I just kind of faked my way into the deal. I'd never worked produce before, but I watched everybody around me. You know, um, Uh, I don't think I was walked in there and went, okay, this is where this is, this is where, not at all. I was standing around waiting, for my manager to show up, and he didn't come. And so, I'm being paid. I was clocked in. So I walked over to an employee that I thought was senior, and fake it till you make it, damn straight. And I said, what can I do? I'm brand new, hire here today. And they said, okay, do this, do this, do this. And they show you exactly what you're supposed to do. And I just did it. And while I'm doing that, I'm watching what they're doing. I'm watching, I'm observing. And so I just jumped right on in there, man. I watched what they were doing, how they stacked their empty boxes, where they take their empty boxes to. I saw them separating plastics from boxes. When I walked by to go to the bathroom, I saw the crusher machine, and I watched the guy as he was, loading that machine. I watched the guy operate the machine. When I come back through, I watched another guy come and he's loading a giant hefty bag with plastics. Everything's plastic. You just watch stuff around you. Ask questions. Say, well, what you doing? People are usually pretty friendly, and they'll say, oh, we save all the plastics, so we put them in this giant bag. Once it's full, I tie it up, throw it in the corner over there, and I put another bag over there. Oh, I see. Breaking down your boxes. Break down all your boxes. A good sharp cutter. Rule number 1, have your own cutter. You want to work in produce, you need a permanent marker and you need a cutter, okay? Like a carpet cutter blade. And you need to have it to where it's like attached to you, whether you tie a string to it or you got a bus driver, pulley on it, that bus drivers use for their keys, and it snaps back up. You pull it out and it snaps back up, kind of like a measuring tape. 2 key items to have, and make sure that you change your blades fairly often. They only last about a week because you're cutting through cardboard, you're cutting through plastics, and they get dull super quick. um that's tax write-off. That's supplies for work, tax write-off. And permanent marker. Okay. um when I work produce, I'll tie a permanent marker to me or put it on a retractor. So on one side, I got my blade, the other side, I got my marker. Really handy. You don't have to reach in pockets or any other mess. Most produce aprons don't have pockets. So, unless you feel like reaching into your clothes or whatever, and searching for whatever or putting stuff in your back pocket, it's so much better if it's right at your sides. And the little string that you tie the apron on, you bring the string around front, you tie it there in a bow. Then you hook up your blade onto that string on one side, and then on the other side of your waist, you hook up your retractor with your permanent marker. So you can keep track of it. Or you're just going to lose it. You're going to lay it down, you're going to lose it. Some other joker's going to pick it up, take possession of it. You just lost your marker, you know. And so those are 2 key items to have when you're running produce. Um, and um, they should have some good scissors in the department and more than one, because your coworkers are going to lay them somewhere, lose them, throw them in the trash. Who knows? Another department to come over and hijack them and run out the back door while you're on the main floor. So hopefully they'll have lots of scissors in a bucket in the back room of the produce department, which is very similar to a butcher department. They'll have a sink, they'll have tables, da da da. There are things that are done in produce, like stock that's being pulled. It all has to be brought back in that room. It all has to be sorted on the table. It has to be inventoried, and then it has to be disposed of. The previous store I worked at didn't want to donate anything. And I watched like 41 cases of stuff be thrown out every day. I wanted to cry. There's so many people that are hungry. Why are we throwing this food away? When grocery stores get tax write off for anything they donate, you know? And they were like, we donate plenty to people. We don't need to donate all this food. We're always donating. You know what? You couldn't donate enough. Never can you donate enough. Never. I promise you. You don't throw it in the trash. There's lots of places around here, from churches to caring and sharing, all kinds of places, and they most of that survives on donation, and they'll give you a tax paper for it, and you fill in the blanks, man. So you're making your money both ways, you know. You got food that's getting ready to expire in a day. Donate it. Donate it. You get all your money back. You know. Don't throw it in a damn trash can. Okay. And but produce makes huge money. That's an incredible department. It makes really, really outrageously large money. I mean, we're talking like 30K a month on a well run small produce department in a small grocery store. That's a whole bunch of money. Okay? Really, seriously. It is hard to believe. So, I never realized how much produce raked in until recently. I never really paid much attention to it. When I worked years ago as a manager of Piggly Wiggly. Okay. So, yeah. But uh, those are key things. Be friendly to the customers. If they're within 10 foot of you, say hi. If they're standing around and they look like they have a question, ask them. Do you have any questions? Is there anything I can get you? You know, make friends with these customers. Remember, they are making your paycheck. Literally. Everything they purchase that goes over that black belt at the cash register, they're paying our paychecks. Okay? Be nice to these customers. All right? Don't be a jerk face. It doesn't take a whole lot to say hello. Hi, how you doing today? Gee, I like that shirt you're wearing. Wow, what a great hat. Oh, your kids are gorgeous. I love your shoes. Whatever it takes. Oh my gosh, you picked just the right oranges today. We just got those in. I just stocked them out an hour ago. Those apples are delicious. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. In due time, everything's going to be so automated, a lot of these people will be eliminated, just like checkers. I knew way back in 2000 when I saw that first automated check stand at Walmart in Bentonville, Arkansas. Okay, the home of Walmart, Sam Walton, all that stuff. When I saw that thing, I said, what is that creature? And they said, oh, that's an automatic checker. I said, well, how does that work? And they said, oh, well, it just works by itself. It's like computerized. You don't need a checker to check the customer out. I went, uh-oh. Guess how many people are going to be out of jobs? I see it coming. Guess how many paychecks they'll save if they can have a bunch of those machines in the store. They won't need checkers anymore. Wow. And it was kind of a sad thought, because that's always supposed to be the neatest part of the whole trip. It's the cool checker you might get. It has a kind word to say. Or as funny or fun as you're checking out. Makes the day bright. So eventually we're going to be so fully automated that all these people will be gone. From checkers will go first. Next will be people in departments loading stuff and managing departments like that. And it's going to be so automated if we continue to go, just like cars or anything else. So appreciate it while you can. Make it nice for that customer. So you can pray to God you'll keep your job. I go on Dollar General. They have a new thing now where they have that automated checkout on one side. That's a new thing. And then they have a real checker on the other side. So they're reducing the checkout place. They'll have nothing more than one person in a Dollar General. Wow. But you know what I do? I'd rather go to that live person and let them check me out. And I tell them that. I said, I could have gone to that thing over there, but I don't want to because I appreciate a live person checking me out and I want to make their paycheck. That's right. You know, sometimes automation isn't that great. They're developing carts where you can check out as you go. Oh no, here's the wild one. They have stores where you can go in and bring your own little bags, okay? Little grocery stores. You bring your own little bags. They got video and everything else. And you go in and you pick up all your crap and you walk out the door and it automatically charges you. It can scan every item you have in your little bags on your shoulders. I swear to God. You believe that? Man, that's wild. That is so hard to believe. I could never visualize that from my childhood. When I was a kid, we said, man, we're going to have flying cars like in the Jetsons, the old cartoony thing with the people flying around in little spaceships and stuff and all that, it was just like, it was amazing. It was like, we'll party in that song, party like it's 1999. And guess what? 99 came around. It was like, whoa, I am on a dance floor dancing to this song. And it's 1999. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. Uh-huh. Time rolls on and it rolls very quickly. And times change and there's so much automation coming, when I was a kid, they didn't have phones you could carry in your hand. You were lucky to have 100 foot of damn phone cord in your house. You could drag that sucker around, So it's always that one person that want to talk to you for life. And you couldn't lay the phone down. You couldn't pee. You couldn't do nothing. But you hope to God you had a big long cord on that devil so you could drag it a ways. You know what I mean? Dollar General has it now. Yep. And another one is the Circle K gas stations. They got one they built out by the base. And it has like 2 or 3 of those automatic checker things. And then they'll have just one checker on the cash register. That's right. It's like, whoa. But you still see people lining up for the live checker, okay? All right. And I don't know if it's like culture shock and they're scared to go to that machine or not. The machine is quite accurate. The one at Dollar General is not. If you buy the two for 6 Starbucks in the jar, that machine won't give you the 2 for 6. But if you go to the live checker, it will. So I've already lost faith in that. I had a $100 bill locked up in a Walmart brand new automated machine. And I was mad as fire. And they wanted us to come back the next day. And I'm like, really? You think I'm going to drive a whole nother state away from Florida? Are you kidding me? I will call 911 before I leave this store to get my change back. And all I was doing was buying a chocolate milk for my baby. And I slapped a $100 bill in that bad baby about 11 o'clock at night. And they're dancing around going, nobody has keys to it. Nobody has keys to it. I'm like, somebody better come up with some damn thing because I got nothing. I haven't got a receipt. I put a $100 bill in there and all I got was like some chump change and I didn't get the rest of my money. Just the coins. I'm like, wrong. You can give me my $100 bill back and you can keep your chocolate milk and all that. But one or the other. We're going one way or the other because it's theft. Well, you can come back tomorrow. I'm like, now what makes you think I'm going to drive back here from Florida for that? For cigarettes and alcohol. Well, a lot of that thing is the ID thing. That's requirement. um, real serious requirement. Look, I know somebody years ago at Okaloosa Island, Florida, that was working. They used to have two Tom Thumbs, one in each corner. Okay, right across from each other, catty corner. And later the other one became a tattoo parlor, which was recently plowed down because they're getting ready to put a bridge in over there that's real wide. So they plowed a bunch of businesses down. Um, so I knew somebody that worked at one of those two corner stores, and they were pissed off. They were not allowed to sell lottery anymore. They were not allowed to sell cigarettes. And I said, well, what happened? And they said, well, I was checking, and this gray-headed dude walked up, ordered a pack of cigarettes. I sold it to him, and the guy behind him had a badge and flashed it on him and said, look, you didn't card that guy for those cigarettes. It's law. And it was like, what? I'm like, are you kidding me? A gray-headed guy? Like, obviously they were like over 18, right? Right? You know? And they said, nope, they pulled our license. I said, you were kidding me. So, yeah, it is a real thing. And, yeah, if you're, over 18 or 21, whatever your law is in your state, and if you smoke or you like to buy a cigar on occasion or whatever, you're a chew person or whatever you do, take it as a compliment when they say, may I see your ID, please? Because they're required to by law. Just like the gray-headed customer with the guy behind him, that was a setup deal that flashed that badge on that checker. That checker was fined $500 personally for violation. Yeah, it's stupid, but it's a law. It's required, no matter how old the person is. It's required. So, take it as a compliment, take it as an insult, however you like it. It's just a requirement. It's a law. That's just the way it is. Um, some of these businesses want to scan your driver's license, or your photo ID. I don't think that's a real good idea. I don't know about, if I were to do that and they would be loading my stuff into their computer system or whatever. I don't think I would be game for that. But yeah, automation has come a really, really long way. It really has, since I was a little kid. In many different ways, in games, phones, cars, um, you know, uh, household appliances, all kinds of things. Everything's become so automized or computerized in one way or another. Things have changed greatly, and yeah, things are made cheaper today, and there's more plastic instead of metal, and some of them check everyone so they don't get set up because it's a law in Florida. They're absolute required. No matter how old the person is, they're required by law for cigarettes or alcoholic beverages. They don't have a choice. It's law. So, but yeah, uh, uh, I mean, we're going into stuff where, I mean, people are doing online shopping, and it gets delivered to your house, or they can drive to a store and pick it up, or whatever. It's delivered by a third party app, or it's delivered by stores. In the old days, they used to have, Pizza Man, he delivers, and um, then a lot of the Pizza Man, he delivers, like they had cars that they bought with the name of the business on the side. And they had people that they hired to drive those cars, and they insured them and everything else. And then they decided, oh, well, that just costs too much money. And, it's just, we're not going to have 4 cars and insure them and have people drive them and all. It's just too much money. Forget the delivery thing. Well, deliveries come back, especially when the pandemic hit. People couldn't leave their houses. People were not allowed by law to drive on the streets unless they were important employees, like people that worked in hospitals or people that worked in gas stations. Nobody could drive on the damn street. You had to have a permit in your car. so that you could drive on the street to go to your job. You know, my daughter worked at a gas station. They had a thing they printed out and they gave to us. So when I gave her a ride to go to work, if I was stopped by a cop, I could show that paper. I'm taking my kid to work. It's legal for me to be on the street. You know, I mean, it was amazing, this pandemic. People that couldn't leave their house, they'd arrest them if they caught them walking their dog or leaving their house and they were infected with corona. It's a law. It was a law. You are ordered to stay in your home. Okay? How are those people supposed to eat? If they tell you can't go out the door, how do you eat if you don't have food and you weren't prepared for that? Say you've been working all week, you've been too busy to go to the store, you were going to go tomorrow. Well, you come down with corona and an emergency room and they sent you home because they don't have enough room because there's so many people dying up in that sucker. Like, go home. You're in quarantine 15 days or whatever it is. Like you weren't prepared for that. So you got to order DoorDash. You got to order Instacart so that you can get groceries in your house and toilet paper, because you can't leave your damn house. Can't walk your dog. Can't go out the door. They'll arrest you for it, So these things have come in really well for the pandemic. All that home delivery and all that stuff, that really kicked DoorDash up. DoorDash was only open a few years before that. And I mean, DoorDash went crazy, I mean, it was amazing. So a lot of this delivery stuff's coming up. There's other delivery companies. There's a lot of people that don't want to go back to regular jobs and they just want to just work for themselves doing delivery stuff. There's the good and the bad in that too. You got to make taxes because you're not paying any taxes in. Is it really worth it? Are you itemizing your taxes out? Because if you're not, you're losing money. It's costing you money to work. And it's looking like you're making about $3 an hour. Is it worth it? No. You really need to itemize your taxes out. All your supplies, your clothes, your gas, your car repairs, your tires, your car payment, all that stuff. It's got to go on an itemized. If you buy thank you stickers or whatever it is that helps you with your job of delivering, it's a tax write-off. All this stuff's got to be all put in there. You're not making any money if you're putting money out. Okay? You got to keep track of all that in order to see what the real money is that you're making. It's just like working a job. They can say they're paying you $20 an hour, but if you're losing $5 or $6 an hour in taxes for every paycheck, you're really not taking home that much money. Okay. and do I still? Not right now. Not right at the moment. I'm too busy. I've got 2 jobs, and I'm just banging away with that right now. And gas is just too fluctuating way too much. I mean, this last week it was like it jumped up to like $3.50 a gallon, and then it's rolled back down. Like today it's $3.19. The day before it was at $3.29. I mean, it's bing banging around, and it's just not worth it to me, because I don't get enough mileage to compensate for that price of fuel. Because when you DoorDash, you got to start with a full tank, so you can keep track of your mileage and all that other crap. And I mean, you start with a full tank and you end up putting more gas in. If they send you a lot of places and send you far places, you get thrown out to this place for a huge order, and then all of a sudden you get thrown all the way back because there's no orders over there in that city. Then you got to drive all the way back. Now you just wasted more gas and more time, and it's just you'd be filling the tank again, doing that twice a day. And DoorDash pays really well. It does pay some people really well in certain areas, and if you run it right, you can do really good. I always did really well. I always did really well on cash tips. I always did really well on on deliveries. Getting a lot of deliveries in. I didn't stack orders. I hate stacked orders. That's a scam. It's just a total scam. Um, but it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. You know, uh, meeting new people, making their day, from the very elderly that don't drive anymore and they order DoorDash to, somebody having a birthday party and ordering a banquet full of food, delivering for a wedding, you know, um, all that stuff, it can be fun at sometimes, but at the costs are horrendous. Fuel is the biggest problem of all. But I mean, if you have a little bitty car that's four-cylinder and doesn't burn any gas, I mean, you can make out like bacon like all the time. No matter what the gas price is and everything, you can really make out like bacon. So, or you're riding a scooter or you're riding a bicycle delivering, any of that kind of stuff. For DoorDash, because you can do any of those on DoorDash. Those are great savings. You know, um, and it's really easy to get around if you're doing something like on a scooter or electric skateboard or those people that they wear like a giant backpack. And it's a cooler bag and everything all in one. And they strap that stuff on and they ride a scooter or they ride a skateboard or they ride a bicycle and they deliver just like you do in a car. And they're the ones that are banking the best, okay? That's a fact. Because they don't have all the fuel cost and all that stuff. So, and you go through starters, man, because you're constantly turning the car on and turning it off. I mean, it's just so much. Wedding season. Oh yeah, especially around here. There's a lot of places that do weddings, and then they'll cater the food for the customer, and the customer pays them gigantic money, like 4 times the price, and it's by how many people they invite and all that and what kind of food they like, and the place will call up DoorDash, okay, and order all the food, schedule a banquet delivery. Yeah. So you bring banquet delivery for 100, 200 people. That's right. Mm-hmm. Very common. They're just contracting it out. They're not doing nothing. They're telling them, well, would you like, Latin food? Would you like American food? Would you like Italian food? And then all they do is like contact DoorDash and say, I need this and I need this much stuff. And I want it delivered on such and such day. That's right. That's all they got to do. Open the doors and make yourself a wedding chapel. Find somebody that can perform weddings. Have a little building that has a whole bunch of tables and chairs in it. And call yourself a wedding place, And then offer to serve them food, Yep. Go to Dollar Tree and buy all the colored tablecloths and colored flatware and all that stuff. You know what I mean? They set it up in real short order. Yeah, and charge the customer like triple. Oh, you want all pink tables and pink plates and pink flatware? I just run down, get it at Dollar Tree. Would you like green today? You want baby blue? We can do that. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So being back to the produce thing, it's there's really nothing on the internet on how to do it. And it's not hard for male or female. There is some lifting involved. It's heavy and it's very hard work and it's nonstop. It's not a vacationing kind of job. It is nonstop. You want to get it done as fast as you can, as clean as you can, and your number one key is rotation. Rotation. It is absolutely mandatory. I promise you. Don't go in there and just throw that crap on the top. It's got to be pulled out and rotated. Fresh goes on the bottom, the other goes on the top. I don't care if it's a store that has sell-through rate that's horrendous, like let's say Walmart. Okay, Walmart with millions of customers all day, all night long, And they probably have a horrendous sell-through rate on produce, but you still have to rotate it. Okay. The only time you would be safe is if a whole display emptied out and you went over there and wiped that sucker out, picked up the trash out of it, and started laying all brand new stock down. That's about the only time. You just don't have to rotate. But otherwise, you want to rotate, keep that stuff stocked, keep it pretty. You know, that's a fact. Especially if you don't work the whole shift all the way till closing at the store. It's really important to make sure all the stuff's stocked to the top, because you might come in tomorrow morning and for some reason, half of the entire display has been emptied out because they bought all your tomatoes. And I've seen people come in and shop like it's almost like they're shopping for a restaurant or something. They will come in and they will buy, 40 tomatoes. And you're going, damn. Yeah, you would be surprised, or stacks of cactus, or stacks of platano, the Latin banana, the plantain, the sour banana, which they fry it. And one that's sweet and one that is sour. I don't like the one that is sour. It reminds me of nasty okra. Okra is like little wood things when they fry it. It's so gross. But it's great if it's pickled. I love it pickled. I like pickled okra better than I like pickles. I just like that. It's hard to find. But yeah. It's not a hard job, but it's a heavy duty job. You got a lot of lifting, a lot of weight with those cases. Okay. So if it's not your thing of picking up 50 pounds or more, it's probably not the job for you. Um, uh, and if you don't believe me, go to the store and try picking up big bags of dog food and see how far you can go up without really wanting to hurt yourself. Then you know your limits. There's an example right there. If you're guessing on taking a job in produce, go to the store, look at dog food bags, and look at how much weight they are, and go up as you go, trying to pick them up and hold it like you're holding a kid. See if you have any problem with that. And then you know your limits. Okay? You'll say, well, that's not the job for me. Or, I can pick up to 100 pounds. Not a big hairy deal. You're all good. Okay? Because it's a lot of lifting and it's constant. It's boom, 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 boom. This is not the stand around job. It is constant. It's like a video game. You got to go to this one, fill it up. Got to go to that one, fill it up. Go to that one, fill it up. But it has to be rotated. You got to pull all that crap out, clean it up, load the new in, load the other stuff on top of it carefully, nice and neat. Don't beat it all to hell so it doesn't start rotting and getting bruised. So that's the facts. So I just thought I'd let you know that it's a fun job. It's an easy job. But physically it is very hard on you. The standing part of it's not a problem at all, and the moving around and stuff like that. The problem is lifting the stuff and doing it all day long. You will be wore out by the time your job is over. When you get off, you will sleep very good because you are beat. When I worked that other store, man, I'm gonna tell you, I would get off, 6, 7, or 8, and I'm gonna tell you, I was asleep 30 minutes after that, like I had been up all night till 2 in the morning or something. That's the way it feels. You just want to go nighty night in about 30 minutes or less because you are beat. And then comes the next day and you do it all over again. But it's a really fun job. The customers are really a lot of fun. Hopefully your coworkers will be fun. Hopefully you've got a good, strong manager. And just watch what other people do. Go to other stores and talk to workers that do that same thing. Say, how do you like it? How long you been working produce? You'd be surprised how people will just answer your questions. And you say, well, I was thinking of working in produce. Is it hard? You know, what are the parts you don't like? Um, that's how you make that judgment. The only sad thing is there really isn't anything on the internet of how to work in a produce department. And I really wanted to do those vlogs. God, I wanted to do those so bad when I worked at that other store. Um, but they played a lot of music in it, and it screwed me up big time because you can't run that music on YouTube. So you'd have to like put bylines in there. What pay an hour should people expect? Well, it depends. If you're working for, I would say a small box store, you're gonna make maybe $1 or $2 over minimum wage. Okay. And then your raises should come once a year. If you don't run, go to another store because you already got experience, and just walk in there and go, man, I have experience, and shoot for a good wage to open. Because you got low pay stores that are owned by people personally, and then you've got a little better grade store that's a chain store, like a Publix and things like that. And then you got the big giant chain stores, um, and those are very good too. Uh, and you have a better chance of getting, full time, and then some benefits, and benefits you don't really have to pay for. Some of them will furnish all your benefit stuff, your insurances for your teeth or medical or whatever. Um, so, um, if you're going up that chain from private owned to, chain stores, different chain stores to like really big stores like say Walmart or a Gemco or different big giant stores that have grocery in them. Um, uh, you know, you have to decide what's good for you, what's closest to you. You know, um, if it's a nice friendly store that you go into, but bear this in mind: if you go to work for somebody, bear in mind that if you get pissed off there, okay, and you're mad faced about those people, you probably never want to go in that store again. Okay? So pick one that you don't care about losing if you decide that you'll never go in that sucker again. Because I get like that. There's places I worked, I would never step in that sucker again. You know? Like Crab Trap, when I worked over there, really, I would probably never want to step in that restaurant again after what I went through. Or it might take me a while to get over it. And maybe if some friends invited me and offered to pay, I might go. Because they really do have good food there, you know. But that pissed me off, that place. But yeah, so make sure it's something you don't care about, one way or the other, because you might be so mad you never want to go in that sucker again. Uh, um, uh, tell them up front. Say, what do you pay? And then try to push them. Say, well, you're offering me uh, $14 an hour. I really need to be about 16. And let's see what they do. They may say yes, or they may say, well, we'll give you 15. You know, but that was better than doing minimum wage. You just got to try and see what they'll throw you. You know, and that's whether you have experience or not. I was hired with zero experience in produce and paid higher than minimum wage in a 7-minute, interview in person in a store. And I told them I never did in my life, but I'm willing to learn. Because there were no jobs, nobody was hiring. It's a tourist place. Nobody was hiring. I was on a run for like 30 days and I couldn't get a job doing anything. Okay? Nothing. I was forced to work for other people because my business was not pulling it. I had no choice. I had to go work for other people. Sometimes you got to suck it up, you know. You know. So, you can only go so long without food and gasoline and all that other good stuff. Um, and dude gave me a job and offered to pay me higher than minimum wage, and I didn't even ask, to have higher pay. I was like, wow, this guy's going to pay me higher than minimum wage for a job I've never done in my life. That's pretty good. So, yeah. So you just have to work it that way. Once you get that experience, you can go anywhere with it. Say, you're selling shoes at a shoe store in the mall. You've never done that before. You go in there, you do shoes. You learn that job. If that place pisses you off, you can go to another place that pays way more money and has better quality shoes and say, look, I worked over this place and I know my stuff pretty good. I'd like to work for you. What are you going to pay me? Because I have experience. And it doesn't make a difference if it's 4 weeks of experience or it's 4 years of experience. Experience is experience, hands-on experience. Hands-on is the important factor. Okay? You have to be able to sell yourself. You have to make these people understand, I can make you money. Try that on them. Why do you want this job? Because I can make you money. And look them dead in the eye. That sinks in real quick, and it almost scares them. And they will hire you just for that. Because they know you're serious. You're strictly business. You're there to do your job. They're there to pay you. I can make you money, sir. That's why I'm here. Those will be the best words you'll ever learn in your life. That's a fact. You can be all a bull crapper all you want, anything else, but by God, if you can look somebody in the eye and tell them, because I can make you money, they're impressed. Grab that bull by the horns. Have faith in yourself. Be willing to learn new things. Okay? Don't put up with horse crap. Because once you get that experience, you can leave there. That hands-on experience is key. Okay? I got 5 college degrees. None of them are in produce. But I walked in that sucker like it was nothing. And I told them right up front, nope, never done produce, but I could do it. That was the only job they had available in the whole place. I said, can I be a stalker? No, don't have anything there. I said, but we got a space maybe in produce. I said, I'll take that. Never worked it before in my life, but I'll take that. There you have it. Just be honest. Be honest to yourself. Be honest to that employer. But always remember those words. Why? Because I can make you money. And look them right in the eye. Best words you'll ever use. That'll buy you in and out of anything to get a job. That's the best thing you can say. Don't forget it. All right, I love you guys. It's been a slice of heaven. Good luck if you're going into the produce business, learning that job, or you're already in that job. Hope this helped you a lot and you enjoy. I love you. Do something kind for a stranger, and I promise I will see you.